Okay, welcome to ManageIQ Sprint 120 review. And let's see, I'll go over the sprint statistics. Carol will do the community update, Harpreet on the UI, Adam on providers, Tina on automate, Joe on platform, and Suyog on documentation. We had 316 PRs merged, and here are the top 3 repos, and it's pretty much what it was last sprint. And here, this also shows the number of PRs that were opened, merged, and remaining open. So we did come down on PRs that are remaining open. And here's the closed PRs by label. And we show the bug label, enhancement, and test label, and then a grouping of all the other labels. And the health report just had almost no activity, although there were 1 or 2 bumps just because of the number of files were updated, so that just caused a little bit of change that you see there. And on to Carol.
Thank you, thank you, John. So for this sprint community update, we have a blog post on REST client vulnerability. Actually, this was published already a month ago, but I was on PTO, so I missed this. So I just thought I'll share this again. And then in the meantime, we've had the release candidate for VLcek, as well as the Hammer 11 update release. And actually, we have just released the GA for VLcek. The blog post just got merged, so I'll be able to share that after this sprint review. So watch out for that. And finally, we have a survey for getting feedback for the expression editor redesign. So last I checked earlier today, the survey is still open. So if you have not taken a survey, please do, to help the UX team to get more feedback to redesign this expression editor. Thank you, and next slide, please.
Thanks, Carol. Hello, everyone. Total 75 PRs merged across all of the UI repos. Out of that, there were 4 minor enhancements, 30 bug fixes, and so on. Some of the enhancements and bugs I have listed here. So on enhancement side, on the Explorer type screens, we used to have history dropdown that used to show links to last visited pages within that Explorer. That was removed, as we now have new breadcrumbs everywhere that are consistent on Explorer and non-Explorer type screens. And an option was added for user to choose whether they want to copy tags or not when copying a catalog item. And a new field, assume role ARN, was added on Amazon Cloud Provider form that uses assume role feature that was added in core repo a few sprints ago. And as for the bugs, display of tag with missing category was fixed in reports editor to be more informative. Another fix was made in reports editor for chargeback reports to populate tenants dropdown with tenants only from current region. When adding an orchestration template, sometimes when API returned an error that was not caught properly and user was seeing the modal with ugly API error, so a fix was made to show error message as a flash message. A fix was made to render compare screen when trying to compare hosts or VMs navigating through relationships. It wasn't rendering the compare screen. And on Ansible Tower template screen, issue was fixed to display both job and workflow templates. Without the fix, it was displaying only job templates in the list. And also a couple of fixes made in dialog editor side. A fix was made to allow setting of default value for date time picker now. And also in the dialog runner that had a tag control field, an issue was fixed to save correct selected value. Without the fix, when selecting a value, it was accepting the value next to the chosen one. And that's all I have for the UI. On to Adam.
Thanks, Harpreet. So on the Amazon side, We fixed flavors that couldn't be provisioned. There were some which were supposed to have a .metal suffix and they didn't, and so they were not being found properly by Amazon. So Alex Z fixed that up. In the ongoing saga of trying to remove a bunch of case statements and provider knowledge from the UI code, I added data-driven forms for parameters needed for AWS creation. So this is really the first PR in a long set of them, but the long-term goal is that the UI would actually just ask the API, what parameters do I need to be able to create any particular any particular provider, and then display the dialogues dynamically based on what that provider requires to be created. And so this was the first one that got in, and then we're just going to churn through the rest of the providers to add this. So that's pretty exciting. We're going to be able to remove a really nasty long case statement from the UI code eventually. On Ansible Tower, James removed the shared Ansible Tower modules that were there so that the embedded Ansible could be an Ansible Tower type provider without actually inheriting from the Ansible Tower code, which would have caused it to be an external automation manager. So now that we've moved core over to use Ansible Runner instead of an embedded Ansible Tower, the Ansible Tower provider is the only code using these modules. And so we got them out of shared and just moved them into the classes. So that got a lot of some nice cleanup there. For Azure, Alex Z fixed Azure memory metrics. Last sprint, he updated it to work with the newer API, but one of the memory metrics keys was incorrect, and so the UI wasn't displaying anything. So we just fixed that up, and now that's working as expected. Next slide. OpenStack fixed a bug where a targeted refresh of a VM would delete all the other snapshots in the collection because there wasn't any proper scope on what snapshot should be included. And so it was, saying all of these snapshots are included in the targeted refresh scope and deleting all of the ones except the ones which are just added. So they added a targeted true to that inventory collection and fixed that up. Milan also, it's only included in OpenStack, but Milan went through all of the providers and removed extra get text catalogs that were not needed anymore. So that was a lot of nice code, a lot of lines deleted on that, making LJ proud. Over, Fabian added the conversion host supported for VMs. So before, conversion hosts could only be OpenStack VMs or Overt hosts. Now they have a universal conversion image that can be installed anywhere, and so VMs are also supported as conversion hosts for Overt. For VMware, I added NSX networks so that they can be included in inventory collection and also during provisioning. So this is actually a lot easier than we had expected. We don't actually have to talk to the NSX API. There are actually equivalent, what are called opaque networks and switches in the Vim SDK. And so we were able to add these pretty easily, and the customer confirmed that they were able to use them for provisioning without any other changes, which was awesome. James did a lot of great work on refreshing vSphere content libraries. So this is sort of a global set of templates which can be used, and so you can pull them down and provision from them. So this is the first step in this process to be able to provision from content libraries. So he added the new automation SDK to the VMware provider. We go out and we talk to that API, I think once a day or once an hour, one of those. Pull down the content libraries and we include them as orchestration templates. Next step's going to be filling out the operation to actually provision those orchestration templates. And community user actually added the ability to have VM reconfigure change the network on the different NICs. This was actually the same guy that added the ability to add and remove NICs on VMs during the VM reconfigure screen. So he came back and enhanced it to be able to change the network that the NIC is on. And I'm going to butcher his name, but it was Evert Mulder, I think. So really, big thanks for that. That was awesome. And that's it for providers. Next slide.
Thanks, Adam. Good morning. We had 23 PRs merged this sprint. Jay added a new category delete method, which will delete the category if no tags are assigned. Jay also added a new tag delete method, which will delete the tag if it's not in use. Drew B resolved the get attribute issue in the embedded Ansible ManageIQ automate role. Lucy changed the default playbook timeout to 100 to be in line with the automate default max retries value. The default value is used when execution TTL is not specified. Drew changed the catalog item copy to preserve the custom button order. and Jay changed the catalog item copy to optionally copy tags. Fabian removed more automate code as part of the ongoing effort to move the V2V functionality into core. Jay's been working on resolving Rubocop errors, and Drew Yu has been replacing the update attributes calls with update in preparation for the method deprecation in Rails 6. That's it for automate. Next line over to Joe.
Thank you, Tina. This sprint, there were 17 PRs related to the platform space that got merged. The highlights of which are, Keenan made an enhancement to preload of virtual attribute relations, which is more strictly handled in newer version of Rails. Keenan and Yuri also continued the ongoing effort to enhance our spec tests with 4 PRs. Yuri fixed 2 BZs, one where a 502 proxy error was generated when selecting the replication tab on global appliances, and another where typecast tracebacks were being produced in the log files. Joe R. addressed 3 bugs, one where process names were being omitted from the top output log, another that prevented verification email from being sent by ensuring postfix packages are enabled. I'm sure that also prevented email from being sent, not only the verification email, and one where zones were disappearing after a database restored to 5.11. Keenan fixed a bug that was preventing OpenStack catalog items from being properly created. Nickal fixed one where entities on the embedded Ansible My Services UI page were missing. And Libor addressed one where groups could be created with the same name as long as one character was a different case from one name to the next. Next slide, please. And for refactoring, Libor continued refactoring out the value to tag method, and Nickal refactored the formatting of the full log output message. And that's it for the platform space. Alberto's on PTO. He had asked me to take care of the API slide, but there were no enhancements in that space. So we'll transition over to Suyog, and I hope I didn't plaster your name, my friend, for the documentation.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. There were 11 PRs merged in this sprint, of which 8 were bugs and 3 enhancements. We've updated the adding a container provider section to include Prometheus for metrics. We've edited the OpenStack tenant mapping content to mention user sync. We've also added a note to the copying a catalog item procedure to clarify the expected product behavior. There were several release notes and support matrix updates, and Drew added an example for the date time filtering to the API doc. Thanks, Drew. And that's it for documentation.
Okay, I was on mute, sorry. That concludes Sprint 120. The next sprint review is on October 2nd, so we'll see you then. Thank you.